theme tune.
Hello, guys, and welcome everyone. How are you?
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. Could you just introduce yourself and just say where you're from?
I'm Claudia.
You go, Claudia.
I thought we were starting at the top and work our way down.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Claudia, go. Then.
Yes, I'm Claudia. I'm Kerry. I'm in England, Wiltshire country.
She doesn't really know where she is. I'm Damien. I'm Kerry's brother, and I live in England, Wiltshire, also.
I'm Jess. I'm Keisha's sister-in-law, and I'm England, farmer, Wiltshire.
You're a farmer?
Yeah, I'm a farmer.
Hi, my name is Patty. I'm Kerry's Tanya's cousin, as his friends. Yeah, I live in Bath in the UK. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for being here. So today, obviously, we're living a very tense situation with all the racial tension that has been sparked with George Floyd's murder in America. How are we living that in America, and how are you feeling? How has that affected you guys? How has that brought up all these emotions? We'll start with Claudia in the same order, so or whatever order you want, just so we're not talking on.
Where do I start? I mean, when I saw that video, I felt sick. It's like, oh my God, what is going on? And I don't understand why the people around, I know they're police officers, but there are so many people around them. Why did they not all rush in and push him off him or do something? They could all hear him shouting and screaming. I know we're all trying to get things to change now, but why did anyone do anything at the time? I don't get it. It's just really sad, and I'm just glad that finally the world is listening a little bit.
I think with regards to that situation with the police and the other police officers standing around, I think in a situation like that, even if the police officers disagree with what one's doing, they're not going to show it because of everyone else around with phones and stuff, and then they'll be seen as disagreeing. However, I think this is just a bigger thing. I don't think it's about that incident or what happened last year or the year before. I think racism is just not gonna go away, and the reason for that, I think, for example, the N-word is classed as being racist. So if a white person was to call a black person the N-word, that's racist. Okay, but now why are black people using the N-word so much? If you listen to songs from Chris Brown, for example, there's a lot of his songs, you got the N-word in it, right? And, he's got a lot of fans. He's got a lot of black fans, a lot of white fans. Now, if there's a white person singing along with Chris Brown, they'll be singing the N-word as well. So it seemed like a normal thing to do. So the N-word then becomes, oh, what's the fuss about it? They can say it, they can call each other it. So, why can't we say it? Why can't we sing it?
Yeah, but there's a history and there's a reason why you don't. I don't agree with it.
I completely understand that. I completely understand that. And I've had so many conversations about this. But, if you've got kids, if you don't want a certain word being said around your kids, you wouldn't say it regardless of your color or your gender or whatever, would you? You just cut it out.
But in England, I think maybe that's more of an American thing, because we don't really use that here. Only the silly little young kids you might hear.
Trust me,
I don't hear it much. Maybe it's the certain
not as
people
much
around.
in England, but it does still happen.
In America, it's just an everyday word. I know.
I feel like in England, don't really like with the song, for example, if it comes up in the song, I don't really hear people would like say the N-word really, because like some people here, I feel like in England is different. I feel like it might be less racist than in America, because
It's not so
I don't
obvious.
know. Yeah, it just
I think that's
Yeah.
you know.
it
It's
just
not so obvious.
yeah
It's done very slight and very discreet, but it is there. It's just hidden
yeah
very well. They're not so in your face and basically come up to you and tell you. It's just, yeah. Especially when you apply for jobs. I don't know about you, but if you apply, I'm quite lucky with my name. When you have certain friends, when you apply for jobs, just by your name alone, that will put people off. They know that you're black. They know that you're
I mean, if
African.
you're called
Um,
something very sort of like the Shaniqua John,
yeah, so if you've
that,
got a name like that in England, I
yeah,
think it affects even just job application. I think it's more subtle. Racism is much more subtle in England than it is in
Yeah.
America. I
Absolutely.
don't know which is worse, but
No,
there is a
it's,
problem everywhere.
but
I
sorry, Damien.
sorry, I completely agree with that as well. And also, you know, when you're seen, like in my job role, for example, if I was to go to a meeting with one of my managers, you know, if I'm meeting with someone I haven't met before, they will automatically think that white
Do
person
your
is
work.
the boss. You know,
Like your what, sorry?
that white person that I'm with is
Yeah.
my boss. You
Yeah,
know, and they're always shocked when they kind of like see that, okay, I am the kind of boss, which I find funny in a way, but
no,
it
but I
still
mean
happens.
it's funny because you know I've heard so many times since this has all begun. You know, no, but that's in America. That's in America. It doesn't happen in England. And even today, I sent a video around to all my Spanish WhatsApp groups, and somebody sent back saying, "Yeah, well, why are you including Spain in this? It's not to do with Spain. Spain is not like this." And as to say Spain is not racist or
Yeah.
racism doesn't happen in Spain. And you know, I replied to that, just because you don't see it or because it doesn't happen when you're around, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. And so I
Mm.
believe that we need to become more conscientious. We need to be more aware that, you know, it doesn't make it real or not real because you haven't witnessed it.
It's not obvious. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
It's true.
And so, do you feel as though, Jess, do you feel as though this is a problem with Mr. Floyd? Do you feel as though it's a American problem or it's a black problem? It's a black issue.
It's definitely a black issue. I mean, done a video today regarding comments left on my TikToks that have Damien in, and it's just racist words and racist comments left. But looking at the locations of where my video's been viewed, none of that has been in the United States. It's all been from different countries. So it's absolutely not just an American thing. But if you look at the size of America compared to places like England,
Yeah.
that obviously plays a massive part in it. But it's 100% is not just down to being in America. And I think with America as well, they're just so much more brutal in the sense that they can carry
Yeah.
guns and they can do
Yeah.
all of
Yes,
that kind
Yeah.
of stuff,
absolutely.
which makes it even worse.
Do
Absolutely.
you know what doesn't help at all? I think in England, the law has got more of a zero tolerance on racism, and I
Yeah.
think law has improved so much more from 10 years ago in England. I mean, I've been called so many racist names in my time in England, but while I'm at work, for example, if I'm called a racist name or have racist abuse, the police are always on it and they seem to care
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
more. And I think where in America it seems to be the police
The police are the one that are doing it.
exactly.
More. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's why but it does happen in the UK as well. But like you said, it's just more discreet because the police
But the
actually
thing
do.
is, even in the police force, in England, they are racist.
Yeah.
Racism is within the police in England,
So we're not
because you don't see very
Yeah.
many black officers on at a top rank. It's very,
Yeah.
very difficult. But yes, the obvious calling you names or being abusive is so much more subtle here.
You know,
But
saying
it's
that,
still a problem.
there's a point that you, Jess and Kevin both made, and I want to elaborate a little bit on that. You know, obviously we've all been schooled in England, and there has been since, I mean, when we were at school in the 90s, zero tolerance when it comes to racism. And I feel as though we're doing a marvelous job. I feel as though in Wiltshire, at our school, we all went to the same school. Actually, I don't know, Jess, I'm not quite sure if you went to the same school. But we do a very good job in saying, okay, you will be penalized and it's not tolerated. This is not done. And so kids at school is an environment of, okay, yeah, it's not accepted. So we don't do it. But then you step out of that, and in the real world, it's like, okay, there's no one to govern or to make sure that the rules apply. So we can do whatever we want. And I feel as you see a lot more outside, you know, so we educate our kids, but then they leave.
No, I think, do you know what? I disagree. Sorry to interrupt. I disagree with you, because our nieces, they've been through hell, and they're mixed race, right? And I was only called the N-word once at school, and I punched him in his face. And that's the first time and the only time I've ever got in trouble at school, was punching his. He was like 6 foot, and I punched him in the face because I wasn't having it. But our nieces in 2000 and whatever, last year, they had so many issues with people. Even my son, a little boy, said to him, I'm not playing with you because you're brown. It's not. I think it's a lot worse in schools, and the teachers don't seem to know how to deal with it. I don't think the teachers are dealing with it properly. They're just saying, "Oh, it's just kids. They didn't mean it," and they make excuses. And I think if they nipped it in the bud from that age, maybe.
And I'm speaking from a teacher's point of view, obviously. Do you not think the role of educating and instilling those core values come from home? I don't feel as though as teachers we can always be on top of that. I feel as though a lot of it comes from home, and you need to make sure that you're instilling these things. And we're having these conversations at home, you know. As you said, my son's lived that same experience as your son. He wasn't invited to a neighbour's party because the boy said, "You're not coming, we don't like brown people." And, you know, what do you say? You know, I didn't realize until then that he was different. So
yeah,
I feel as though it's the parents' responsibility to say, to have these conversations, whether or not they've heard their kids being racist or not, or saying racist things.
I think it's both. I think it's both for parents, and if the teachers hear it, it's your responsibility to make sure that you speak to the parents. And if they can't sort it out, sorry, you're not going to be in my school. I should think it should be zero tolerance. Look at the effect it's having on the world.
Where do you think this is coming from in the first place? I mean, is it?
I know it is the parents
saying this person is a different color, is different from you, don't hang around with friends, or is it from TV? Where is it coming from? I mean, most of it is from generation to generation. I get that, but
I think you're probably right, because Phoenix's friend, the parents are they seem really nice, and they always invite Phoenix to their parties. And I don't know, are they hearing? I don't think it's always necessarily the parents. It could be grandparents, or it could be friends or cousins. It's not necessarily, but they're learning it from somewhere. It's
I was gonna say, like, peer pressure from friends. Like, even if you don't learn it from your parents, if you've got a group of children that you just play with at school, and 4 of them don't like you because you're brown, then the one person that didn't have a problem in the first place will then automatically have a problem, because they're that age where they just follow each other.
Patty, for instance, you sorry, what's your ethnicity?
Oh, I'm Thai.
Okay. Was there a specific moment when you came to the realization that you were different from, say, other people in your class, or that you became aware of ethnicity?
Maybe when I was younger, it's just in like school, like from year 7, I guess, it's like there is a bit of racism between like colored and when you're not like your English isn't great as well, and that comes along with it. But it's quite subtle. But I mean, in school, I remember they try to kind of be aware about that problem and situation and try to teach. But I guess sometimes it can be hard to kind of educate some children when it's like peer pressure, when a group of people already believe in that way, like they don't like people who have like skin or come from somewhere else, or like
Yeah.
couldn't speak English properly. They can, and that one person can easily get dragged in and to believe what they believe, I think.
Yeah.
But
So do
yeah.
you feel it's not just about your skin color? Do you feel it's about your kind of like background and your accent and the way you kind of speak
I
as
feel
well?
like it's combined with a lot of different, like as well as color and your background, I say. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But
Sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah. Yeah, I think it has like different combination, I guess, for me, from what my experience is.
Okay.
But it's not as strong as I would have thought. But I guess it's like somewhere else that I haven't seen is probably worse than where I have experienced. Yeah, from where I'm from.
Okay.
So
Sorry. The following question, because I'm aware of time and that as well. I'm trying to get through as many questions as I can. Okay. There has been, well, there's obvious low level of trust in the police in I want to say minority communities. You know, so when hate crimes tend to happen, I feel as though there is less possibility of it being reported because people don't trust the police, and not just in America. I feel as though in lots of minority communities this happened. Do you feel as though this mistrust of the community is everywhere? Is if it's in England as well? If it's all over Europe, or what do you guys think?
I think in England, yeah, there is, but there's different sections and different parts of the country that will be totally different.
Mhm.
I mean, in Bristol, St. Paul's, for example, you know, will be totally different from Trowbridge, you know. So I think it depends on what part of the country you are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of black people are working for the police now,
Yeah.
than they did before, because they've done a lot of incentives to get them into the police for that very reason.
Yeah.
And I think that it's work. It's still not where it should be.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever trust the police completely, because I have to be careful what I say, to be honest. But
Yeah, you are.
yeah.
You are. You definitely do. Okay, but how optimistic do you feel that we will pull together as just people, not black people, but people as human beings, people who inhabit the earth, all of us together to eradicate racism?
Human
How
beings.
optimistic do you feel that is? Because you know, I'm not feeling all that optimistic at the moment.
I'm going back to my point I kind of raised earlier. I think we have to start with us. And, you know, there's a lot of communities and a lot of, you know, black people stick together. I get that. But when it comes to kind of, you know, trying to tackle racism, for example, you know, on social media, there's certain white people that, you know, they'll have their fist, you know, the black fist as their profile picture. And they'll be told by black people that's for black communities only. Okay, that's not
Really?
inviting.
I don't.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that because you know
Yeah,
I saw the people I've been speaking
social
to
media.
saying we want our white friends to stand by us and say, you know, enough is enough because we can't do this on our own.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you
That's
think
what
we are
that's what we
racist
need.
as well?
That's what we need, but not all the black community is doing that.
Yeah. Do you think the black community are quite racist themselves too?
I
I
think
don't know
there's
if the
some.
black community can be racist. So, Claudia, sorry,
I,
sorry about
I,
that. If you look up what racism means with oppression, I don't feel as though we are in any position to be racist at all. Prejudice,
I,
but most definitely not racist.
I think it's not racist, but it's, I don't know. They just need to open up a bit more and kind of not be, okay, I'm black, so I'm going to stick with black. And you
Mm.
know,
Be more accepting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though the white community, Jess, do you feel as though the white community does enough to support all this turmoil that's going on, the racism that we see? Do you feel as though the black or the white community is coming together and saying, this enough is enough? Do you think they're rallying together with people of color and saying, we stand by you and, this can be no more? Do you feel as though there's a sense of that?
Not really for the right reasons, if I'm honest, but at the same time, like from a white person's point of view, I find it quite difficult to understand what I can do and what I should be doing to support black people, because some black people will say, oh, this is okay, like you can say this, you can do this, or this isn't okay and you can't say this and you can't do this. Like Damien was saying, like some black people are like, put this as your profile picture, like show that you're standing with us, and then other black people are saying that's just for us, so what are you doing? So I think from a white person's point of view, it just needs to be like, I'm seeing a lot, especially around the George Floyd situation, with saying that white people just need to be more educated on how to help, but it's very, very difficult when it's not being made clear to us, if you know what I mean.
But
like,
stop being racist.
Yeah.
Not you
And I
personally.
feel though it's not, and I've heard this so many times, it's not our job to educate all white people about what's right and what and how to behave. I feel as though it's just common sense. And
it's basic.
And it's all right. If you don't know, it's research. I feel as though, and I feel as though the conversations are difficult to have because it always ends up in, you're attacking me, you're saying I'm racist. No, we're not saying that every white person is racist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, a lot of things are happening. And if you're ignoring the fact that they're happening, or you don't want to talk about it, you're not being part of the solution. And we need to find solutions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think social media is good at the moment in getting messages out there and getting messages across, but at the same time, I feel like people will just use it for likes and comments and follows.
Are they jumping on the bandwagon, or do they mean it? Are they jumping on the bandwagon, or is it something that you really believe? Because everyone's doing it, but are you actually doing it because you believe in what's happening and you want to make a change, or like you say, do you just want likes?
Yeah,
exactly.
It depends on the reason why you're doing whatever you're doing. I don't know.
I'm quite disappointed that Tanya didn't get to come, actually, because she was very passionate about the idea that, she's been she's been sending out these petitions to be signed, and she's quite disappointed that, a lot of English white people that she knows, for example, and not just her, a lot of friends of mine have said this, that they're not getting the support. They don't feel as though the support is there, and I feel as though that's the notion. We can't do it alone, we can't change racism. We can't change people's minds this easily unless we do it together. And I feel as though we need to open the conversations. What can we do? So can we answer this point, each of you? What do you think we can do as the white community, the black community, the Asian community, all God's creatures on earth? What can we do?
Okay, that's a good point. All of God's creatures on earth. Now, if you're a white person and every kind of like 6 months, someone gets shot or get killed, and you just have like 2 months of Black Life Matters, Black Life Matters. Yeah, absolutely. But, as a white person, don't you think, oh, well, white lives matter too? It's about the world. It's about human being, not just about black and white. You know what I mean? So from the start, black people are kind of separating themselves from white people. So,
but I completely disagree with you there. Why are we saying Black Lives Matter? Because if you look at the statistics,
there's a problem.
Black
yeah,
people
absolutely.
so much more likely to get, they're
Absolutely.
2.5 times more likely to get killed by the police. Look at the statistics. They don't lie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But what's the definition of life matters? What's the definition of that? Are you saying Black lives matters but white life doesn't?
Yeah, but white people are
No,
not
no, but there is,
today, Dame. Black people,
yeah.
and so this is what we're trying to get. We're trying to get the police abuse to stop towards black people. This is, I feel as though this is what we're trying to do at the moment. At the moment, the
Yeah.
attention is on the police to say, you know, you are supposed to serve and protect, and you're not doing this. You're killing
Unless you're black.
anybody else, and the numbers are
Yeah.
there. So I feel as though that's what it means. You know, it's not saying one life matters more than the other.
Absolutely. But you know that, you know, we all know that. There's everyone that's not quite as educated as us know that. Do they just see it as why is the focus on black people again?
Because they're getting killed. It's quite obvious because they're getting killed left, right, and
Absolutely.
centre. It's
No,
not even go to a
absolutely.
job.
Absolutely.
Our lives have been treated like it's not important. That's what.
Another point.
We absolutely get that. I get that. Like I said, you get that. But what I'm trying to say is people will be out there thinking, okay, there's this focus on black people, black lives again. So F them.
Yeah,
people will be thinking like that.
I think the point that Damien is trying to make isn't that it's wrong to be saying Black Lives Matter. Like we know that is that at the moment, like the black community is the community that needs the help right now over all communities.
Yeah.
But the point is by consistently like accentuating Black Lives Matter, Black Lives, the people that aren't educated and aren't looking at it the correct way are going saying, well, what about our life? And it's
so you should
kind
say
of
all
having
lives
the opposite
matter.
effect.
Okay.
Yeah. Know that. We do know that all lives matter, and I think it's that getting that out there to saying all lives.
I get what you're saying, but
stop killing black people. You need to find a way. Just as the way you can find a nice way to arrest a white criminal, you need to find.
To kill 10 people.
Yeah. So they don't lie, so we need to address those, and I think the police needs a lot of work, especially in America, and it's a conversation that needs to be had. But
the police needs a lot of work. The president of America needs a lot.
Oh my God!
All right.
Don't get me started
a whole different.
Oh my God! We should have a conversation on him.
Yeah, that's going to take us another 2 hours. So but I'm just going to give you one more question, and then I think we'll wrap that up. Patty, I feel as though they've talked so much, they haven't given a chance at all. Okay, I'm going to try and finish with a nice, easy one to finish. Okay, so we've seen a lot of opinions online, a lot. Online abuse, online racism. Do you feel as though what impact do you think that's it's made? I've heard that probably a little bit. So
the online racism.
Yeah.
Well, social media is good, but also kind of bad. If it's like a two-sided sword,
Yeah.
But if you use it really wisely, it can really benefit people and educate more people about being how to be fair. And it's just, I feel like we need to educate people more on I think the new generation is better than the older generation anyway, but it just what was I about to say? It just
a lot of work still.
Yeah, I was about to say something, but I just feel like if I don't know, if we all help each other and promotes fairness in every way.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I had something to say about it, but I kind of forgot.
It's okay.
It's because we're staring at you. Sorry.
Completely
She
okay.
doesn't know you're staying.
But, guys, I feel as though it's the names that, and it is just because of these names, because we've seen not just George Floyd, but
There's a lot.
this
There's
year
tons.
as well, Ahmaud Arbery, and in 2000, when was this? Breonna Taylor, was that this year as well? Breonna Taylor. I mean, the list goes on. There's so many names that you're like, the change needs to come. We need to, American or not, I feel as though we need to support, because at the end of the day, we are all people and we need to make the change happen. It's not just an American thing. And all of us, we need to pull together.
Yeah,
really
I feel
come
like
up
we
with
just need to
solutions.
make the change where, like, if you come across and experience something that you think it was racism, I think someone need to be
Speak
brave
up.
and
Yeah.
step up and say
Yeah.
something,
Yeah,
because that will help and shows everyone that it
It's not
matters.
following.
The
Yeah.
thing where you it's the right thing to,
should do.
even though there might not be a lot of people around you that thinks the same, but if you think it is wrong and it's not fair, you should stand up
You should
against
stand up.
racism and like
Absolutely.
just show everyone, and that way it's like
That's a brilliant point.
you
That
can
is
educate
a very brilliant
people around
point.
about.
That is a brilliant point, Patty.
Um,
Has anybody actually been in that situation where they've seen injustice or racism, but they've kept their mouth shut just not to cause conflict?
mm,
No, I've got a big mouth. There was and it's not racism. There's a girl at work, and it was just completely, um, it was awful. She's a lesbian, and just the comments that a supervisor was saying,
Yeah,
it was just not. As a
appropriate.
supervisor, you're someone that's supposed to be setting an example.
Exactly.
So yeah, I wasn't having it. It's
Yeah.
just anything like that, prejudice, anything like that. I think you're right. You should stand up for that person if they're not saying anything because they're scared or they don't want to get sacked or they're worried what will happen to them. If you can,
Yeah,
apart
it's
from
your
don't put yourself in
responsibility.
danger, obviously, but
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah, like
absolutely.
educate and encourage people to be more
exactly.
brave and out there if they see something is wrong,
yeah.
because they do that, I think it will help so much, and there will be less, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant
I
point.
feel like I've got members of like extended family and friends of family that are just so openly racist, and
Mhm.
I just think when I'm having to have those conversations and like my blood boils when I'm having to defend
Yeah.
some, and I just think if I feel like that and this is just like one comment in like a year or whatever,
Yeah,
and that's what makes me like helps me push towards supporting, because I'm like, if that makes me feel that way, how do black people feel having to deal with this every single day of their lives? And I just cannot believe that people are so openly ignorant and openly racist still in this day and age. I just can't understand how it
Yeah.
even happens.
shocking.
Were you
I
just
believe in this generation people still more like ignorant, and what happened now, that from what we see, it's just unbelievable that in this generation this is still a big deal, when all of those, like, I thought it would have been like ages ago and would have come over, but it came up, which is a good thing. Then we can actually deal with it now and try to just make a better future, and hopefully it won't be like this, and
Yeah,
we can sort this out now.
absolutely, absolutely. Were you going to add something Ian, before we cut off?
I was just going to say very quickly, like I've got into the mindset of, I just don't allow, racism to, it's not right, but I don't allow it to kind of like affect me. I just think, okay, what I'm going to do is better myself and try to be above those racist people. And
Yeah.
but you
that's
don't
the
ignore
best
it though.
anyone could do. No, I don't ignore it, not at all.
Mm.
I just don't allow it to get to me. A lot of
Yeah.
people allow it to get to them, and they react really negatively, etc. And I just don't think you can do that, because by doing that, you just get it more.
Yeah, you're
So
perpetuating the idea of the power it
exactly.
gives, doesn't
Mm.
it? Okay, well, guys, thank you very much for your input today, and I really do hope that we after this we will be moving forward instead of being stuck in the same place that we've been for centuries. And I really do
Mm.
hope that change is coming. I hope change is coming. Guys, I hope you would have taken something away from this video today. And until the next time, adios.